Welcome to this exclusive interview. I am your host, Mwalimu Kamau Mbugua. We are having a conversation with a madam, a long-time volunteer, a veteran volunteer, Madam Catherine Dennis, on the eve of the function that is forthcoming this Sunday, the 15th of April, the Good Deeds Day. But I'll first of all give my visitor a chance to introduce herself in person. Madam Catherine Dennis, please address our viewer and let her know who you are.
Great, thank you. Pleased to meet you.
Pleasure.
And thank you for taking this time or giving me this opportunity to talk about volunteering and to talk about Good Deeds Day. As mentioned, I've been a volunteer for several years. I started as a young child.
Several is a very short time. Make it real. Let's see how long.
Almost 60 years.
60 years volunteering.
Yes, I started when I was 5 years old. My grandmother was a big volunteer in her church, and so she invited me to join her in some of the church activities, which included fundraising, having bingo. I'm sure you're familiar with that game. And so I was a runner. I would they made food to earn extra money, and I would take the food to the players, and that's how I started my volunteer work. And I didn't think about it as volunteering. I thought about it as a lot of fun. And so I always, my parents were big volunteers. They started football for young people, young boys in elementary school. They started a league in my community. We were encouraged to join our parents.
So in other words, you're saying volunteerism is kind of part of your life.
It's part of my life.
Very much in the family.
And absolutely. And I continue to work toward having a lifestyle of volunteering. So yes, I have a paid job, but I try to include in my life every day good deeds or actions that I try now to do without thinking about it. I don't stop and say, oh, I need to volunteer. There are activities that I do every day, helping my neighbor, cooking food for my neighbor, reading to a friend or a neighbor who is sick. I have a big flower garden.
And your professional grounding, did you say you're a teacher also?
I was a teacher, yes. So when I graduated from university, I became a teacher, and I actually was a Peace Corps volunteer here in Kenya.
Which year was that?
I was in Busia district, and I taught physics and biology as a Peace Corps volunteer. And it was, very formal classroom setting.
So this is not your first time you're coming to Kenya?
No.
The first time actually you came on a volunteering basis?
Yes.
You actually volunteered as a Peace Corps?
Yes, 2 years I was a Peace Corps volunteer here. And so when I went back to the United States after spending 2 years here, I tried the classroom, but I decided that the classroom was too restricted. And so I really went back into a volunteering situation. I was a paid staff, but I recruited young people ages 11 years old to 17 years old to be part of a team program of volunteering. So it was outside the classroom, and it gave an opportunity for the young people I was working with to engage in volunteer work, but use the skills that they were learning in school. So if they were painting a classroom, they had to calculate how much paint does it take to paint this classroom.
You're integrating your teaching subjects into kind of the volunteer activity,
yes.
Showing a direct relationship with the learning in the classroom.
Absolutely.
And the practical life.
Every day. So then young people, especially young people at risk, understood why school was so important.
Yes.
That maybe they didn't have a paid job, but in their volunteer work, they were doing activities that in the future are potentially paid work. And so they really got the opportunity to say, I need to learn math because as a volunteer I use this, and in the future I'll use math every day. And so I think that many times young people are discouraged because they can't see the practical side of having a formal education, but in fact we all must have a formal education.
That often brings me to the question of, is volunteering fulfilling? Is it sustainable? Is it a good thing for somebody to say?
I think as I said, in building that lifestyle of volunteering, that you find opportunities to help somebody else every day or as often as possible, that it is fulfilling because you are filling a gap for them and helping them, and that's a good feeling. I think it's part of human nature to want to be helpful, and so when we can do that as a volunteer, it makes us feel better. And they have statistics that prove that it makes you live a more healthy life
A longer life.
and a longer life. Yes, absolutely.
Wow, that's good. So
Absolutely.
the question arises of when you say that you have a long background of volunteerism at the family level, you are here to celebrate a function, the Good Deeds Day.
Yes.
Give us the international scope of the Good Deeds Day, or as an organization.
Sure.
What is it all about? What does it have to do with the volunteerism?
Yes. So Good Deeds Day actually started in Israel more than 10 years ago. And they started as a rallying point in Israel to encourage more of their citizens to volunteer. And they chose one day a year to do that, and they called it Good Deeds Day. And so after a couple years, it was a very good idea, and they engaged more and more people in Israel. And so they decided, we think this is a great idea, and we think we should be promoting it outside of Israel. And so they started promoting Good Deeds Day in 2011 outside of Israel. And here we are in 2018, and this year we'll have over 100 countries involved.
100 countries in which Good Deeds is supposed to likely to be observed.
Yes. So it's celebrated in over 100 countries this year. So the day is April 15th, and that's why I'm here to help encourage and have a great activity on
For
Good
how long
Deeds
have
Day.
you had an engagement with them yourself as a person?
So I've engaged with Good Deeds Day since 2012. I was part of another NGO at that time, and we invited Good Deeds Day to join a world conference on volunteering, and that's how the word began to spread more globally. After that year, I think 10 more countries joined Good Deeds Day, and so we continued to help support Good Deeds Day and the other NGO I was with. And so I joined Good Deeds Day as a staff member last year. So I've been involved with Good Deeds Day almost 1 year.
And that's why you're here now to represent them.
Yes, I am representing Good Deeds Day, the international office, the global office.
Thank you. Most welcome.
Yes.
Now, okay, let's look at the day itself. What's objective? Why Good Deeds Day? What exactly do you need to achieve? When this viewer comes over for the function on Sunday, what exactly do you intend to achieve by having that function?
Sure. I mean, I think the whole notion for Good Deeds Day was to look at the simplest notion or idea of volunteering.
Yes.
That it doesn't take hours and hours to be doing good deeds. Helping someone for 5 minutes is a good deed. And that's how the notion of the day started, is that it wasn't an impossible task, it wasn't something we were asking you to do every day. We were asking you to intentionally, one day a year, do a good deed. And so that's the notion behind Good Deeds Day. And I think that what we've learned is that for some people that day maybe is the first time that they engage with others in volunteering.
And deliberate action of volunteering.
And deliberate action, absolutely. And so in many countries they've turned Good Deeds Day into a day of celebration, into a day of recognition, and a day of activities. So this Sunday, April 15th, here in Nairobi, it will include all of those activities. We will be recognizing volunteering and the roles that volunteers play in many NGOs around Nairobi and around Kenya. And we will do some activities on that day to, again, recognize. We will do some good deeds that day. Many of the NGOs participating will do good deeds. And we will help to use the day as a way to build understanding of what kinds of activities are happening across Kenya and around the world in 100 other countries. And so that's all those things we will accomplish by having this activity.
So
Good Deeds Day.
who is expected to participate? What do you expect to be in the participation to be part of the celebration itself?
Sure. I think we're very, very lucky that here in Kenya, the organizing committee is comprised of NGOs and government and the media. I think education, I think all of those things are the great partners.
The whole blend spectrum.
All the spectrum, exactly. And so that's who's going to be participating on Sunday. We'll have members from all sectors of a community, and I think that that's what we have found is the most successful and makes for the most successful Good Deeds Day, is that we engage as many people as possible and as many sectors as possible, because building a community takes all of us. It's not just the government's job, it's not just the educational system's job to build a community and educate the community. It's all of our responsibility. Absolutely, absolutely.
So going forward, if we have it successful, we're holding it in Kenya for the second time.
Yes.
Going forward, what exactly would you want to achieve in the long run? As by way of having a successful Good Deeds Day last year, this year, coming year. In the long run, what exactly do we intend to achieve through the process of doing good to our neighbors?
Well, I think what we're trying to do is increase the capacity of NGOs in Nairobi this Saturday, but also in Kenya, so that they can help to recruit more volunteers to help them get done. Again, it takes all of us to build the community and to take care of the problems in communities, to take care of the serious social issues. And so I think that by using this day in Kenya, this Sunday, that we are taking advantage of the opportunity of Good Deeds Day to build the capacity year-round for those NGOs, because they also are part of promoting what they are doing, the good deeds that they are doing year-round. And so by recruiting more volunteers to what they are doing, we're building more volunteers in Kenya and building the capacity of communities. So again, using the day as an opportunity to build the capacity year-round.
Well, now we are looking at the build-up of this function, and maybe I'd like to hear about from your end, in as far as from where you have found the organizing committee having come so far. What do you have to say as far as the level of preparedness that you have seen from the local partner who is helping you prepare for the function?
Yes, I think that for me it was very exciting. This morning I had the opportunity to meet many people representing NGOs that are part of the organizing committee. And again, from many kinds of sectors, involved in health, involved in education, involved in the environment. And so for me that was very, very exciting. You have the typical, the Red Cross, some of the university programs and university leadership programs, they were represented this morning. And for me that's exciting to see that these other NGOs see Good Deeds Day as an opportunity to help come together with their fellow Kenyans to celebrate volunteering, to educate communities about what roles volunteers are playing in Kenya, throughout Kenya. So that was what was exciting for me today, to be part of that organizing committee meeting.
Thank you very much. On that account, viewer, we will have to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the Secretary General of the Organizing Society, the one which is doing the groundwork of making sure that we have a successful event come this Sunday. In the meantime, I was having on set the Chief Volunteer, Madam Catherine Dennis. Catherine Dennis is from the international part of the Good Days organization, and she's here to represent Good Day on Sunday. In the meantime, keep watching. Welcome back to the show. I am yours, Mwalimu Kamau Mbugua, and I'm pleased that you're watching. I am now joined on set by the Organizing Secretary and Secretary General for the VIOS. VIOS is Volunteer Involving Organization Society, Mr. Fredrick Sadia. Mr. Fredrick Sadia, welcome to sir.
Thank you so much.
Kindly say hi to our viewer.
Hello, there are greetings to you. As Mwalimu Kamau has said, my name is Fredrick Sadia, and I am the Secretary to the Volunteer Involving Organization Society. We are a network of different organizations that are promoting volunteering in Kenya, and we do so by working closely with government to create an enabling environment for volunteerism in the country. So I'm delighted to join you here to be able to discuss about matters volunteering.
Thank you very much. Still, my guest is still with us, the chief guest, Madam Catherine Dennis.
Yes, thank you.
We have been talking on matters to do with volunteerism, with specific regard to doing good. The Good Deeds Day, which is coming up. You can see they are wearing some very brilliant, beautiful, doing good. So you are ready to do good. Let's start from here. We have this forthcoming function, and you're saying that you intend to convince people that doing good is sustainable and fulfilling.
Yes.
I would like to hear from you what you have to say about the level of preparedness as of now, because I think the organizing group in Kenya is with you. Maybe make a comment, then I'll ask him to give us a report on how far they are going as far as the
Sure, sure. So I think that one of the things, again, what we're trying to do with Good Deeds Day is to promote the simplest act of kindness, the simple good deed that we can do to help others and to help make communities better. And so we're very excited when Kenya joined us last year in being one of this year, more than 100 countries involved in Good Deeds Day. And so this morning, as we mentioned earlier, I've been very happily and excitedly part of the planning committee, joining the planning committee meeting surrounding Good Deeds Day activities and what's coming up this Sunday, April 15th in Nairobi, and actually throughout Kenya. So Fred will be talking about what other communities throughout Kenya are involved in the Good Deeds Day activities. But again, we're very, very excited to be partnering with the VIOS network here in Kenya, because it's a group of organizations that understand and believe that volunteering makes a difference. It makes a difference in their NGO and makes a difference in communities. So I think it's very exciting to have the VIO network part of this.
Madam Catherine, my brother, she has given us a background of her long history, 60 years of volunteerism. Give us a short story of yourself.
Thank you so much, Mwalimu. I think first of all, it is a delight to be with my senior. So I'm happy that you found time to come to be with us here in Kenya. Feel most welcome. And you know, when you sit close to a senior, sometimes you don't know what to say.
Don't make it sound so bad. It's a good thing.
But it is a good thing, because then you are close to a pot of knowledge, from which then you draw and you use moving forward. And I think for us, that is the most exciting part of having us building this partnership. But I think maybe to share just briefly about my volunteer journey. I also start way back as a small person, you know, where I used to see my mom doing a lot. You know, my mom used to prepare porridge and sell to the school where I used to go in primary. And sometimes she couldn't sell all of it. It would sometimes even remain like almost a half a pay. But we're not going to take it home. So most of my friends will go and, you know, and have a feast. And I could also see my dad, you know, like our home was a place where everyone would come and everyone would be welcome to say that. So I learned this virtue of being able to reach out at a tender age. But when I was in high school, then I meet a JICA volunteer, and I'm like, oh, studying volunteering is an interesting. This is what I'm looking forward to studying. You know, maybe one day when I get a chance to proceed on with my education, only to realize that this is not something that you want to go out there outrightly and study, but something that you need to practice. So I think for me, I've done it in the informal as a young person, but officially started doing formal volunteering in the year 1999. So I've done it for this period of time, up to date. It is what I've done virtually more than any other time that I got to work to be paid. It has been always volunteer work that I did, and this has allowed me an opportunity to take leadership roles at different levels within different community-based institutions, mostly here in Nairobi, until now finally I have the humbling responsibility to coordinate this network at a national level. Working with
I asked a brief and very direct question. I asked about is volunteering sustainable? Is it fulfilling? What would you say about this?
Volunteering is fulfilling. Let me start from that point. You know, no one can purchase joy out of your heart. And when you do things that make you feel good as a person, and that you want to wake up the next morning and you do it again, this is the fulfillment. And especially when you reach out and you know that whatever little that you were able to do has impacted on other people's lives, then you are good. Because when I started in 99, I used to work with street families. And you know, the beauty of finding a child on the streets and eventually seeing them going to school, clean, smart, having them rehabilitated. Some of them, a majority today have families. I think no one can pay me for that. I think it is that happiness. But when we look about sustainability, it is also a different level. You know, it is sustainable in one, it is something that is people driven. So you do not need to really look at, you know, what are resources. It's something we can mobilize ourselves and go out and do. But when you come into now practicing it to a level that you want to kind of measure the impact, then you realize that there is need for a bit of resourcing of volunteering, which I've always said that is a little bit of a challenge not only here in Kenya, but having shared with colleagues from other parts of the world, that you realize that financing volunteering is a little bit of a challenge, but one that can be overcome, especially when people come together and they are willing
and appreciate the need
to do good.
Then they'll be able to unlock resources.
Exactly, and this is where now the great idea of good deeds comes in, where all of us realize, oh no, we can do it. So what do we have to do it? Then people put it together.
That brings me to the element of the society, the VI of society. Tell us about it.
The Volunteer Involving Organization Society was started way back in 2004. I'm happy to have been during those days as a youth leader in Ungana Young Friends of AMREF when it was being founded. So I've seen it move, growing, and I'm glad, as I mentioned, that today I'm sitting to be the coordinator or the person leading in its growth here, and it's working closely with government. But this network is unique in its own way. One, the membership of this network are doing diverse projects or program areas in their own different ways, of which we are coming in to complement, to create synergy amongst ourselves. But we realized that we didn't want to, kind of compete amongst ourselves. We realized that it was going to be easier for me to engage, and we identified volunteerism as that one area which becomes the common denominator.
Yes.
Then this also enabled us to have a voice within which then we could approach the government and start allowing the government also to see and to appreciate that there is a place for volunteering.
How receptive has the government been?
Amazing, I will tell you. It is quite amazing. In the initial stages, of course, you would expect that there would be like, what are you talking about? But then things change. Every time there's a new government, things change, and you find people which leaders who are more receptive to new ideas. And so we've been able to work very closely together with the national government. We have at the moment an established National Volunteerism Secretariat that is taking charge of volunteerism. But more amazingly is that the network has worked closely with other relevant stakeholders, with the leadership and guidance of the government to come up with a policy, a national volunteerism policy which was adopted by Cabinet in 2016, February.
So in other words, you're saying you have the goodwill of the government?
We have the goodwill. And now with the policy document, it is a framework within which now we want to implement volunteering in Kenya.
I would want to invite Madam Dennis to comment on that. How do you, maybe from international experience, what do you have to say about the situation whereby I think so far the society has been able to win the confidence of the national government, and a lot of goodwill seems to be coming of it?
Yes, I think for Kenya, it was a brilliant move to create a national volunteer policy. Quite frankly, there are not a lot of countries in the world who have national volunteer policies. And so there's often this cycle of struggle that, as Fred was saying, is that the characters in government changed, and then suddenly government is not supporting volunteering anymore. But when a policy is there, there's not a choice, right? So the policy exists, and so the NGOs can point to the policy and say, look, there's a volunteer policy here. And so the government needs to continue to support the volunteering. And so I think that that's a strength that Kenya has. And I think now, moving toward the implementation aspect, it's now the NGOs can say, okay, we have a policy, and now we can work with government to figure out how do we implement this policy. And I think having that network of different kinds of players, different kinds of organizations that are promoting volunteering, having that network contribute to the implementation is very brilliant on the Kenya government side. And then you have the experts who are utilizing volunteers. And I think that by having a policy, it's really recognition from the government that volunteers have a role in community development.
The national economic development.
Yes, they have a role.
Thank you. I want to switch the gears a little bit. I really want to narrow down on the forthcoming doing good. Tell us about Good This Day from your perspective, my friends. Mr. Fred.
Talking about Good This Day allows me to speak on when I got to know about the whole idea. So this was 2015. I was invited by Catherine here to a conference during the time she was a leader within IAVE, which is also a global network of several organizations that are doing good in volunteering. So I go to Rwanda and I meet a great friend, Kainan Rabino, and we share briefly about a Good Eats Day. And then I'm like, such an amazing concept. And then time goes by, and I keep on like, no, I really want to follow up. Then we happen to meet again in Mexico for again another conference that she had organized with the IAVE in Mexico City, and Canaan invites me to be part of a workshop that they were conducting there. And we meet, and after this we have a discussion. But fortunately, as it were, I fell sick and couldn't proceed on with the conference. So I had
Which year is this? Give us
this is 2016.
2016.
Yeah, so I had to be hospitalized in Mexico for almost a month and so. But when I came back to Kenya, recuperating, then Canaan checks with me, Fred, how are you going on? He say, I'm good. Now, what are you thinking about Buddhist Day? I think we're going to do it. And so I get inspired, and I invite him to come. Even at the time I was still very weak, but I was determined because this idea was right, and I think for me it was a reason to leave. So I thought, if this is the last thing I'm going to do with my life, I will do it.
Yes.
So I go straight into it, and I invite him to come, and I set a series of meetings for him with government, with certain corporate companies, my team of the VIO Society and the member organizations. And he asked me at the end of a meeting we held at the UN, thanks to the UN, they had hosted us, because I'd requested that they host us for a meeting. Fred, do you think you can pull this through in less than 2 months? And I said, give us a try. And then he goes back and say, okay, Fred, I think I'm willing to give you a little bit of finances to kick you off. I told him, we are going to do it with that.
So
we
that
started
now marks the first.
So that is last year.
Last year.
That marks the first Buddhist Day in Kenya, and we are happy, very humble, and very proud to have been able to be the first African country that did Buddhist Day with the involvement of government. Because the government came in handy, and we co-hosted the event with the Minister of East African Community, Labor and Social Protection then, now Labor and Social Protection. We had support, great, I was personally mesmerized, including my members of the committee. So we did it last year, and we had a number of organizations that also came in on board to celebrate with us. We started from somewhere, and so we hope that whatever we were able to do last year, we can build on it, learn from even the sharing that has been ongoing, and of course, today here we are.
So
we are going to do this.
Let the viewer know what we're planning to do differently this year to make it far much better.
Exactly. This year, Buddhist Day is basically, showcasing the good things that we do.
Yes.
Last year we tried, but this year we want to now see actual actions being showcased, being shared as best practice when we are convening on the 15th, this Sunday, along City Hall Way, which, by the way, everyone is welcome to join us, to come and see. So we are reminding our partners that we want it to be different in the sense that we are going to pull a larger crowd to come on board. We are going to bring more partners together. We are going to actually, apart from just sharing the story, some of us are going to demonstrate the actual acts of doing good, like I know
they've been doing all along.
That they've been doing all along.
Yes.
Some are going to make donations, some are going to receive and recruit volunteers and allow that opportunity to have a larger workforce to be engaged.
Do you still have the goodwill of the government as you speak now?
Today, actually, we are going to have this event co-hosted by the county government of Nairobi City. We had written a letter to the governor requesting that they co-host, and the response was positive. Last year we did it, as I mentioned, with the Ministry of Labor Social Protection. This year the ministry is still with us at the national level of government. So we are still going to be the three taking lead: the network, the National Volunteerism Secretariat, and the county government of Nairobi, for which we are very grateful. And this is the reason for why we're going to use City Hall Way. Yes. Because it is been given to us by the county.
You want to make it
government.
available. You want to do it as a street function.
We want it to be as inclusive as much. KICC is a very ideal where we held the event last year. Yes. But sometimes someone walks and say, "Oh no, looks like a nice thing.
I don't belong there."
But it seems like I don't belong there. So KICC sometimes is very inclusive yet exclusive. So we thought that if this time we're going to try it on the street, and of course we know that it has been done in other parts of the world, and also in streets being locked and people just having their fanfare there, that this could make it easier for walk in, walk out, so that the footprint would even be much more as compared to next year.
I want you to address the viewer and be very specific in as far as come back again and didn't make it the objective. 1, 2, 3. Don't go too much. Specifically, what do we want to achieve by having showcasing this day on the Buddhist Day? I'll let her go first. What exactly do you want to achieve by holding this day?
Well, I think that we're demonstrating that Kenya has joined a global movement. As I mentioned, there's over 100 countries involved around the world. that there's a unique opportunity for partners along areas that maybe people don't think about partnerships existing. So the fact that it's NGOs and government working together to promote volunteering. And again, it's a celebration and a recognition of the roles that volunteers play in our communities.
For me, one, there's the national volunteerism policy that we have as a country.
Yes.
The basis of which is inculcating the spirit of volunteering into the people of Kenya.
Yes.
So the Goodies Day idea or concept is one that allows everyone else to relate with it, that each one of us, in our own small or big way, we can do something that would impact on lives
Positively.
Positively.
On others. Yeah.
on others. So this is why we are actually very well coming to the idea of the Goodies Day, so that it can remind us, even from the household level, that there's something that I can do at home in my small community that will eventually allow that community to grow. That is inculcating the spirit of volunteering in every little deeds that we do. Second, it is an opportunity, as my seniors mentioned, of a great opportunity of creating networks,
Synergies
collaborations,
around,
partnerships, building a strong synergy to work together with learning institutions, government, members of the civil society, development partners. It is open to all of us. And I think thirdly for me, which is also important, is that it is always exciting to be part of a global activity.
Yes.
And Good Eat Day is going global. At some point, when we just sit and relax as we discuss, I think that the next day, Good Eat Day is going to be a UN day. But I don't know whether that would happen. But it is interesting because every one of the people that I've met that we've talked about with the Good Eat Day, they say, "Wow, this is amazing. I didn't know that I've always been doing good." And I'm telling them, with all due respect to our religious faiths, let the right hand know what the left is doing, so that the left could be more motivated to do more, or the right more challenged to realize that they've been resting so long. This is Good Eat Day.
Let's go to a specific. So give us a detail. Where is the function happening? When is it happening? Is it restricted? Is it open to everybody? Give us the details.
One, the event is open. It is welcoming to all members of the public. It's going to be on the 15th, this coming Sunday.
This Sunday.
Along City Hall Way. And we welcome everyone. We welcome everyone. It is a highly inclusive activity or event. So we are calling on people even to bring along their families. Sunday, for those who go to church, after they've gone to church, done their worship, they can come.
Yes.
They can come to have a feel of the fact that there are several Kenyans, whether organizations or individuals, who are still concerned about doing something that is going to make Kenya great. Because my belief and my desire for my country is that each one of us could rise up to be the change that we desire to see, that Kenya becomes greater. So it is open for every one of us.
What are the activities that we anticipate? If I come and any specific activity, any encouraging activities which would move me to do good?
Definitely. I wish that this is going to be the occasion that we realize many handshakes as Kenyans. But anyway,
a continuation of the handshakes.
A continuation of the handshakes as Kenyans. But what is going to happen is that we are going to have a peaceful demonstration around town. We are going to have a peace march, not necessarily a peace march, but the messaging that we want to pass across is that as Kenyans we can live together, we can do things together, we can challenge one another to do good together. So it's going to be the Good Eat Day march around town, and we are also using this to create a buzz and make many people, raise a little bit of their curiosity. What is it that these people are walking around? Occasionally, we know how sometimes demonstrations go in the country, but we hope that this one would be one that attracts positive energy, so that many people will want to join and be part of and parcel of the Good Eat Day moment. When we get to, after the Peace March, we'll be having exhibitions going on. So different organizations will be coming to exhibit and to showcase the good deeds that they've been doing out there, sharing of stories. We will also have a session for guests. We hope and we want to cross our fingers next time that we are able to find the principal secretary from the relevant ministry coming, and other dignitaries that we've sent out invites to. But as a volunteer, I'm looking forward to having every other Kenyan volunteer, whether student, a retiree, a child who is keen on just doing something for their communities, turning up and coming to share in the event. It's going to be fanfare for children.
And
So-
being reinvigorated to do more.
Yes, and we are trying to allow this to be an opportunity where we can start discussing, having the story with our young ones about the need to do something that is meant or directed towards having a different perception in how we want to address our development issues, perception in how we want to address our politics, perception in even how we want to address issues of ethnicity, which are really, just taking all of us down. So
Madam
it's going to be an
Catherine,
engagement.
Madam Catherine, what are you looking for? What is your expectation? What exactly would you want to see the Kenyan branch?
Oh, I'm
Sunday?
hoping we have so many people starting at 9 a.m. that the street is full of people.
Yes.
And that, as Fred said, there's representation from all walks of life, all ethnicities that are part of the Kenya fabric. And I really look forward to seeing everybody having a good time and learning more about each other and working together to create a better Kenya.
Wow, thank you very much. We are still having our guest. We are talking about Goodies Day. I'm your presenter, Mwalimu Kamau Mbugua, and I'm glad you are watching. We are moving now to the summarizing bit, and I want to give you a goal to give us a summarizing closing remarks. What is this direct appeal you want to make to the viewer, the volunteer, the other general Kenyan, in as far as volunteerism is concerned and doing good, as we look forward to having the function come this Sunday?
My appeal is a simple one, is to urge the Kenyan populace that Kenya is a great nation. We as Kenyans, we are great people. And we can only sustain that when we are willing to rise up and sometimes stretch ourselves even a little more to be that part and parcel of the Kenyan dream. The Kenyan dream for me is simple. A time when we will be able to feed our people, a time when we'll be able to have children going to school, having access to quality healthcare, having roads that are accessible, and having every other infrastructure that supports development for the betterment of a nation. I truly believe in the Kenyan people, and I want to call on them that wherever you are, in whichever little way you can contribute to that journey, to that dream. If volunteering is going to be that starting point, join us on the 15th when we are celebrating the Goodies Day. We have everything lined up for them. We have an opportunity to learn, to speak with each other as Kenyans, and just to chart the path for the betterment of our country together. This is my appeal.
In your closing opinion, Madam Dennis, make a comment, address the viewer, the volunteer, the beneficiary, the general Kenyan. Make an appeal for them to be able to show up on Sunday, to do good and be encouraged.
Yes, please join us. Sunday, the 15th of April. Join us in our activities. As Fred mentioned, we're going to be having a march. We're going to be having many NGOs who are going to be celebrating and showcasing what they do as an organization and inviting others to join them as volunteers for their organization. So please come and join us starting at 9 a.m. till about 4 p.m. on Sunday, and join in for whatever time you can come. And there are all kinds of activities to learn about what volunteers are doing in Kenya.
You have heard it, madam. You've done it, viewer. This is an opportunity to do good. It's an opportunity to come and make a difference in the society, being encouraged and encouraging others, because we will be celebrating the Goodies Day. You have the whole 364 days to do good, but this is one day out of those the whole year where you have a chance to come and showcase and see other people who are committed to do good for the building of the society as volunteers. On that remark, I'm yours, Mwalimu Kamau Mbugua, and I urge you to show up, come and let us do good together. Thank you.